We live in a world where our digital lives, all our photos, our work, our entertainment, it all feels like it's right there, instantly accessible. But in most cases, that information isn't actually stored on the device you're holding. So this explainer is going to look at the invisible technology that makes all of this possible: cloud computing.
It all begins with a really simple, everyday action. You just unlock your phone, or maybe you open your laptop. There's no whirring sound, you don't have to wait for a disk to load up. And just like that, photos from years ago, the movie you were in the middle of watching, that important document for work, it all just appears, instantly. The whole experience is designed to feel completely seamless, almost like magic. And this brings us to the central question, doesn't it? If all of that data isn't physically on your device, then where is it? How can it seem to be in so many places at once, yet also right here in your hand? Well, the answer is a concept called cloud computing. And at its most basic, it's really simple. It just means you're using computers that belong to someone else. Your data and the apps you use are stored and run on these powerful remote machines, and you get to them through the internet. Now, this represents a really crucial shift. Think back. It used to be that you'd save a file directly to your computer's hard drive. In the cloud model, that same file gets saved to a server that could be hundreds or even thousands of miles away. Your device then becomes less like a storage container and more like a window to that remote data. So when you hear the term cloud, it's not meant to be something abstract or floating in the sky. It's actually a metaphor for a very real physical infrastructure, a huge global network of enormous buildings called data centers. And these places are just filled with powerful computers that store and process all this information. And who owns and operates these data centers? Well, it's some of the world's largest technology companies. In fact, the infrastructure that powers a huge chunk of the modern internet is controlled mainly by just three players: Amazon with Amazon Web Services, Microsoft with Azure, and Google with its Google Cloud Platform. So these providers offer different kinds of services that we use every single day. This can be simple storage for our files, like with iCloud. It can be entire applications that run from the cloud, think Netflix or Gmail. And it can even be raw computing power, which lets companies develop incredible technologies like AI without having to own their own supercomputers. And this really highlights a fundamental change in our relationship with computing. We've moved from a model of ownership, where you'd buy software, you'd buy hard drives, to a model of access. We are in essence renting space and power whenever we need it, kind of like renting an apartment instead of buying a whole house. Okay, so we understand what the cloud is, but how does it work so incredibly quickly? How does a photo that's stored in a data center, maybe in another country, just appear on your screen in a split second? Well, let's follow the journey of a single click. The whole process involves four main steps. First, you make a request, say, by clicking on a video. That request travels through the internet all the way to a data center. There, a server finds and processes the video file, and finally, it sends the result right back to your device for you to see. All of this happens in less time than it takes to blink. Now, a key technology that makes the cloud so efficient is something called virtualization. It allows these providers to take one massive physical server and digitally slice it up into many smaller, independent virtual computers. This means thousands of different customers can all securely share the exact same hardware, which is really the basis for the system's flexibility and how it stays so cost-effective. But what if that one server fails? Well, this is another key part of the design. Your data isn't just stored on one machine. It's automatically copied and spread out across multiple servers, often in totally different physical locations. So if one fails, another one instantly takes over. In a very real sense, your data exists in many places at once, which is what keeps it so safe and always available. So this all leads to a pretty fundamental question. Why did this transition even happen? Why did so many organizations, from tiny startups to massive corporations, move away from managing their own servers? Well, the main reason is that the old model presented some really big challenges. Before the cloud, companies had to play a guessing game. They had to predict how many servers they would need. If they bought too few, their website could crash during busy times. If they bought too many, they wasted a ton of money on hardware that was just sitting there doing nothing. With the cloud, they can scale their resources up or down instantly. This also solves the problem of enormous upfront costs. Instead of spending millions on hardware and buildings before you even had a single customer, an organization can now launch a global business with just a credit card, paying only for the computer resources it actually uses. And then there was the immense burden of just keeping everything running. Operating servers requires constant management of security, hardware repairs, and really complex systems. The cloud lets businesses outsource all of that difficult work to the experts at the major cloud providers.
Ultimately, when you put all these factors together, they led to a whole new way of thinking. The cloud transformed computing from a product, something you had to buy, build, and maintain, into a utility, very similar to electricity or water, right? You don't build your own power plant, you just access computing power whenever you need it. Now, this shift isn't just a technical detail. It has fundamentally changed our relationship with technology and our data. So let's take a look at this new reality, both the incredible convenience it brings and the catch that comes along with it.
For us as individuals, the benefits are pretty clear. We can access our data from any device, anywhere in the world. We've been freed from the limits of local storage, and we get a nice, consistent experience across all of our technology.
And for businesses, the impact has been absolutely revolutionary. The cloud basically demolished the old barriers to entry. Now, anyone with an idea can launch a global service with very little cost. And this has directly fueled an explosion of innovation, since companies can focus on building products, not on managing infrastructure. But all of this convenience and all this innovation comes with a trade-off, one that pretty much all of us have implicitly made.
The catch is that an incredible amount of power is now concentrated in the hands of a few very large companies. Our data is no longer physically with us, it's held by these corporations, and we are placing an immense amount of trust in their systems and, critically, in their security to protect our most important information.
And this brings us to the final crucial takeaway. The most significant change driven by the cloud isn't really technical. It's a profound shift in our relationship with technology itself. We have, by and large, traded ownership for access, and we've traded direct control for convenience. A person's digital life is no longer just a collection of files on a device. It's now a constant stream of data from a global network of computers, one that exists everywhere and nowhere all at once.